name's MC, and on behalf of Centre de Santé, I want to welcome you to this week's session of Fun Fit from Home. Today we will be doing yoga with a chair. So just keep in mind here that we will not be doing everything seated. We will be standing for some of our postures today. What you're going to need is a nice sturdy chair and a yoga sticky mat. We will be doing exercises barefoot. It's better to be barefoot than with socks, because sometimes if you wear socks on a sticky mat, your feet can slip and slide. So to make sure that you have a nice good grip on your mat, barefoot is key. So today we are going to be working on flexibility and mobility, lower body strength, core strength, and balance. So we are going to get started seated. So you want to place your chair right behind your sticky mat. So have a seat, and you want it here to be sitting in the middle of your chair. Your knees are in line with your hips and your ankles are in line with your knees. You're going to press down firmly into the floor with your heels and the balls of the feet. Press down firmly and then lift your toes off of the mat here. Spread them wide and gently lower the toes back down. Lift your breastbone and reach the crown of the head up. So when we sit here, we want to sit here with a nice tall spine, shoulders are relaxed, chin is pointing down, and you also want to make sure that both sides of your pelvis are level with one another and that your pelvis is in neutral position. So you want to imagine here like your pelvis is a bowl and the water in the bowl, and you have water in your bowl and the water's flat. So if your pelvis was tilted forward, you would have water spill out of the bowl in the front. And if your pelvis was tilted backwards, you'd have water spill out through the back of that bowl. So bring your pelvis in a nice neutral position. And we're going to bring our hands on our abdomen here, and we're just going to take a few deep breaths. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or you can gently gaze down towards the floor. So let's take a deep breath in here, in through the nose, and then out through the nose. As you breathe in, you're going to allow your abdomen to expand with the breath. So you're going to feel the expansion in your hands as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, allow your abdomen to fall and come closer towards your spine. So inhale, relax and expand the abdomen almost as if you were blowing up a balloon. And then slowly exhale, belly button in. Now we're going to lower the hands to the thigh, and we're going to continue that long breath. So inhaling and exhaling. So as you breathe in, abdomen expands, and as you breathe out, abdomen contracts. Now we're going to breathe a little bit deeper. So as you breathe in, allow your abdomen to expand, and now continue to breathe until you feel your rib cage spread wide as well. And then slowly lower the rib cage and pull the belly button in. Still sitting nice and tall. Inhale, abdomen and rib cage. And then exhale, lower the rib cage and pull the abdomen in. And now we're going to move to our full yogic breath. So next time you breathe in, you're going to allow your abdomen to expand, breathe into the rib cage, and then finally fill the chest with the breath. Your collarbones are going to spread wide, and then slowly exhale, lower the collarbones, rib cage, and finally pull the belly button in and up to release the breath. So we're going to breathe like that a few more times at your own rhythm. So inhale, abdomen, rib cage and chest, and then exhale, lower the chest and collarbones, the ribs, and the belly. Again, if you feel comfortable here, you can close your eyes. If you prefer to look forward or look down at the floor, you can do that as well. right, so we're going to start with our postures now. And when we do these postures, we want to remember that we want to try to keep a nice long spine. So you want to lengthen from your hips to your armpits. And the first pose that we're going to do is a dynamic pose, and we're going to do cow pose. So it's a little bit of an extension in the spine. So we're going to take a deep breath in, lift your heart here, lift, 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 lift. You can gently look up, and then exhale, come back into a neutral position. So it is not a big movement. So let's do that again. So we're going to inhale, lift the chest, and then exhale back into a neutral position. So I'll turn to the side so you can see how small of a movement this is. So we're going to inhale, lift the chest, gently look up, and then come back into a neutral position. All right, now we're going to add some movements with the arms. So we're going to inhale, lift the breastbone, reach the arms up, gently look up at your fingertips, and then exhale, lower the arms down. So we're going to do that 2 more times. So we're going to inhale, lift the breastbone, turn your palms up at shoulder height, gently look up at your fingertips, and then exhale to come down. And last one, we're going to keep the hands up this time. You're going to look forward and bring your spine into a neutral position, and you're going to lower one arm to the side. Keeping both sides of your pelvis ground on the chair and the shoulder back and down away from the ear. You can either stay here if you already feel a stretch in the side of the waist, or you can do a little bit of a side bend here. Make sure you keep breathing, and we're not exaggerating the movement. You're just moving until you feel that stretch. Now, if the chest comes forward a little bit, make sure that you pull the shoulder blade back so that the shoulders are in line with one another and that the chest is open. Inhale, bring the arm up, and then exhale to the other side. So we've got option number 1, keeping the shoulder down away from the ear, reaching the fingertips up towards the ceiling, or keeping both sides of your pelvis down. You can do a little bit of a side bend. Make sure you keep breathing those long, deep breaths and relax the muscles of your face. Inhale to come back to center, reach both arms up, and exhale, lower the hands down. All right, so we're going to start strengthening the legs here a little bit. So we're going to stand all the way up. You're going to keep your chair where it is, and we're going to do chair pose. And we're going to do it a few different ways, but each time we do it, feel free to stay with the first variation if you'd like. So we're going to start here with the feet about hip distance apart, with the toes facing forward and the outer edges of the feet parallel with one another. You're going to take a deep breath in, reach your arms up, lengthen through your spine. And then as you exhale, you're going to hinge at the hips here and shift the hips back as you bend your knees. Keep breathing, and then we're going to lower the arms to shoulder height. So we're going to breathe here for a few breaths. Make sure you're not holding your breath, your weight's in your heels. Good, lengthen through the spine. So a nice long line from the hips to the armpits. And then go ahead and have a seat in your chair, reach the arms up, and we're going to do what's called a counter pose. And we're going to do seated forward fold. So with your back nice and flat, you're going to sweep the arms to the sides, lift through your breastbone as you hinge from your hip crease to come down. So relax your neck. Now you might be able to reach your toes here. If you can't, we don't want to force it. Relax the head down. And now we're stretching out the lower back. Now try to avoid the temptation of rounding your back to get down further to the floor. We want to keep nice extension in the spine. Now we're going to come halfway up. So we're going to bring our hands here to our knees and just come halfway up. Nice long line in the spine. And then exhale, we're going to come back down. Remember, if you don't quite reach the floor, that's okay. And then with a nice flat back, you're going to reach your arms to your sides, and then all the way up overhead, moving with the breath, and then slowly exhale, you're going to lower the arms to the sides. Okay, we're going to stand up again. Now this time we're going to bring our feet together if we can, but you can keep them hip distance apart as well. So we're going to just start in our mountain pose. So this is our neutral standing pose. So you want to stand nice and tall here. You're going to pull down with your glutes and your hamstrings and your back muscles, and you're going to lift through your quadriceps and through the chest. The fingertips reach down towards the floor, and we're going to inhale, reach the arms up, pinky side facing forward, and then we're going to go into chair pose. If you need to keep your feet apart, you can. Now this time, if you can keep your arms here. If you find that you're having a hard time keeping your chest lifted, then go ahead and lower your arms back to here, like we had it in the first pose. So we're strengthening the legs here. Make sure you keep breathing. Nice, long, smooth breath. And then go ahead and have a seat in your chair. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, seated forward fold. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen through your spine so breastbone is lifted. Even as you come down, now you can go ahead and relax your neck. And again, if you can't quite reach the floor, that's okay. You can also support yourself with your hands on your knees if you need to. Taking some deep breaths here. Now we're going to gently look forward, hands on the knees, come halfway up as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, you're going to lower back down. And sweeping the arms to the sides, turning the palms up at shoulder height, flat back here, flat like a board. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Good, let's go right back into our mountain pose. So standing tall, lifting through the muscles of the front of the body and pulling down through the muscles of the back of the body. We're going to do chair pose and forward fold one more time. So we're going to inhale, reach the arms up, shoulders are down away from the ears, and then exhale into chair pose. Again, feel free to keep your knees apart like we had in the first time, and feel free to bring your hands to shoulder height. That's a little bit easier. Make sure you keep breathing. And now let's have a seat in our chair. Inhale, arms come up. And then exhale, forward fold, stretching out the back of the body. Slow, long, deep breaths here. Inhale to bring you halfway up. And exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up to nice flat back, flat like a board. Turning the palms up at shoulder height. And then exhale, arms to your sides. All right, so we're going to do a few more standing postures that really focus on lower body strengthening. So let's go ahead and stand up into our mountain pose. Now you're going to need to move our chair here. So you're going to take your chair and you're going to place it at the top of your mat with the backrest facing towards you. And you're going to bring your feet, so your feet are going to be about hip distance apart here with the toes facing under your chair, and your hips are as close to your chair as possible. And we're going to do crescent lunge pose. So we're in our mountain pose to start. Nice long spine. Your sit bones are pointing down here. And you're going to take a giant step back with one leg. It doesn't matter which one because we're going to do both. And you're going to stay on the ball of the back foot. So you're going to feel a little bit of a stretch in the calf here. Now you're going to bend through the front leg. And you want here your knee to be right above the ankle. Heart is lifted. And you can either keep your hands on your chair here if you need it for stability. Or you can inhale and reach the arms up overhead, shoulders down away from the ears, and we're looking forward. Now again, you want to make sure the breath stays smooth. If at any point you need to hold on to the chair, that's what it's there for. And we're going to lower the hands to the chair and step forward. Take a breath here in mountain pose. And of course, we have to do the other side. So we're going to start with our hands on our chair and step back with the other foot. You're going to stay on the ball of the back foot. Now you want a wide enough stance here so that your knee is right above your ankle. Front knee is right above the ankle. You're lunging into the front leg. So if you find that your knee is crossing over the toes, you need to widen your stance. We're lifting the knee of the back leg up towards the ceiling as we lower the hips down. And then you have the option of inhaling and reaching the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Now, as you reach your fingertips up towards the ceiling, make sure that your upper arm bones are hugging in towards their socket so that there's lots of space between the ears and the shoulders. Exhale, lower the hands down and step your feet together. We're back in our mountain pose. So now we're going to turn so that we're facing the long edge of the mat. And the next posture we're going to do is also for lower body strengthening, and we're going to do warrior two pose. So you're going to have a nice wide stance here. So how wide just depends on how long your legs are. So the taller you are, the wider of a stance you're going to need to have. So we're going to take our toes that's closest to the chair. So you're going to lift those toes up and you're going to externally rotate that leg so that the toes are going to go under your chair here, right under the chair. Now we're going to bend that knee so that the knee is right above the ankle, and you really want to press through the outer edge of the back foot. So that'll engage your glute here, and you want to turn your hips and your shoulders to face the long edge of the mat as well. And we're going to float the arms up and turn our head to look over the middle finger of the front arm here. Now if you need to hold on to the chair, keep your arms down, you can. And really focus on pointing your sit bones down here and abdominals in. So we're pressing through the outer edge of the back foot into the mat to activate the glute, and you're pressing into the heel of the front foot. And you can look down at your knee here to make sure it's stacked right above the ankle. And we're going to straighten the leg, lower the arms. You're going to turn your toes to face the long edge of the mat. You're going to bend your knee here a little bit and step your feet together. Now, of course, we have to do that on the other side. So you can turn around here. So you want your toes to face, again, the long edge of your mat. And your leg that's closest to the chair, you're going to lift onto the heel, turn the toes so the toes are under your chair. And you want to make sure that movement comes from higher up on the leg. You're going to bend through the front knee so that the knee is right above the ankles. And you're going to press through the outer edge of the back foot. Float the arms up. And your sit bones are pointing straight down towards the floor. Abdominals are engaged. Shoulders are stacked over the hips. And you're floating your arms to either side of the room. Now go ahead and straighten the leg, lower the hands, turn your toes to face the long edge of the mat. You're going to bend the knee that's closest to the chair and step your feet together. And then turn towards your chair. So we're going to do another counter pose for those two leg strengtheners that we did. So we're going to do downward facing dog with a chair. So you're going to hold on to the back rest here, and you want to make sure that your chair is very sturdy here and it's not going to slip and slide anywhere. So you're going to step your feet back, try to keep a nice long spine. So step back quite a fair distance here, hinge at your hips, and then press your chest down. So you're resting your hands onto your chair, and you really want to deepen the crease of the hips here. You're shifting your weight backwards, and your heart presses lightly down, and your head is somewhat relaxed, not dropping it, but it's your ears are going to be next to your upper arms here. So as you hold this position, really deepen the crease of the hips and reach your sit bones back. You're also going to feel this in your hamstrings. If you need to bend your knees, to keep a nice long spine, feel free to do so. Now we're going to look up at our hands and slowly walk the feet closer to the chair. And we're going to do triangle pose next. So for triangle pose, we're going to take our chair and just turn it so that the backrest is away from you and the seat is closest to you. Okay, so again, just like when we did Warrior 2, we're going to have a nice wide stance with the toes facing the long edge of the mat. Your sit bones are going to point down, chest is lifted, hands on the hips to start. Now you're going to lift the toes of the foot that's closest to the chair. You're going to rotate from high up on the leg so that the toes are going to be under your chair here. So if you need to get closer to your chair, you can do that. Now again, you're going to press into the outer edge of the back foot, and you're going to feel that activate your glute. You're going to be careful not to lock out this knee, and you're going to float your arms to either side of the room. Now we're going to deepen the crease of the hip here as we shift the other hip back. Keep the sides of the waist long, and then you're going to bring the hands closest to the chair, just on that seat, and the other arm is going to reach up. Now you want to be careful here that your chest doesn't collapse forward. So your shoulders should be stacked one on top of the other, and you're hugging your sacrum in here. So you want to imagine really long spine on both sides. You can either look straight ahead, or if it feels comfortable on your neck, you can gently look up at that thumb. Again, nice, long, smooth, deep breaths. So you're going to feel this stretch your leg here. And you're also strengthening the other leg by pressing the outer edge of the foot into the floor. Now let's gently bend the knee of the foot that's under the chair. Bring the hands onto the hips. You're going to lift onto the heel of the foot that's closest to the chair and turn the toes to face the long edge of the mat. Let's go ahead and bend the knee that's closest to the chair and step the feet together. And of course, we are going to do that on the other side. So you're going to go ahead and turn around, so it's the same thing. So you're going to widen your stance here, a nice wide stance. You're going to pull your sacrum in here, so your sit bones are pointing down. And you're going to lift onto the heel of the foot that's closest to the chair, and rotating from high up on the leg, you're going to turn the toes so that they're under your chair. You're going to float the arms up, press into the outer edge of this back foot here, and then you're going to deepen the crease of the hip as you lean to the side here, and you're going to place one hand on the chair, and the other arm is going to reach up towards the ceiling. Keep the shoulders stacked one on top of the other, and either look straight ahead or look up at your thumb. Just a few more deep breaths. If you're looking up, you're going to look at the side again, lower the arm. You're going to bend the knee to come up a little bit, and you're gonna lift onto the heel of the foot that's under the chair, turn the toes to face the long edge of the mat, bend the knee a little bit, and step your feet together. So you're gonna face your chair again. Now we're gonna do downward facing dog with the chair again, but we're gonna go a little bit deeper this time. If you need to, feel free to do the previous variation. So this time, instead of holding onto the back of the chair, we're gonna hold onto the seat. So you're gonna hinge at the hips. Now, nice tall spine. Avoid the temptation of rounding forward in the upper back to try to get down further. So hands on the chair. And again, feel free to turn your chair around and hold on to the backrest instead. So hands here, nice flat back. You're gonna step back with your feet. Now, deepen the crease of the hips. If you need to bend your knees, you can. And shift your hips up and back as you lower your heart down. Keep the shoulder blades pulling down your back so there's a lot of space between the ears and the shoulders. Keep the breath long and smooth. Now let's look up at the hands. And again, with a nice flat back, you're going to shift your weight forward a little bit, walk your feet in, and stand nice and tall in our mountain pose. So we are going to do a few balancing poses before we sit down. So for these ones, you always want to make sure that you have a chair either in front or beside you in case you lose your balance. Okay, so I'm just going to stand next to the chair, but if you want to have it in front, that's okay too. So we're going to do tree pose. So you're going to start in mountain pose. So a nice strong base. And you're going to lift onto the toe, the big toe of one foot here. So nice and easy to start. And keeping both of the front of the hips here facing straight ahead, you're going to rotate one leg, the leg that you're on the toe here, to the side, and you're going to bring your heel on your ankle. And then we're going to bring our hands to our heart. Now, to help with balance, you can focus on a point, so something on the wall that isn't moving. And then we're going to stretch our arms overhead, and we're going to try to lift the toe off of the floor here. Now, if you're very sturdy, you can bring the sole of the foot a little bit higher up on the leg. So your abdominals have to be engaged here. Shoulders are down away from the ears. If you prefer to have your hands apart, you can do that as well. Just a little bit more. And then bring your hands to your heart. And then down and lower the foot all the way down to the floor. Now we're going to do that on the other side. So you're going to start in mountain pose, fingertips reach down, you're pulling up through the front of the body and pulling down through the back of the body. And you're going to lift onto the big toe, and you're going to externally rotate that leg with the heel on the opposite ankle, hands at your heart. Steady your gaze on a point, and then start to float the arms up. You can always keep your hands at heart center too if you prefer. So you can have your hands together, apart, whatever feels best for you, and then either lift the toe off of the floor if you can, or bring your leg a little bit higher, so that the sole of the foot's on the lower leg. And don't worry if there's a little bit of motion here, that's okay. And then hands to heart center, and to the side, and then lower the foot. Okay, we're going to do modified dancer pose next, which will also work on balance, and it'll stretch the quadricep muscle. So again, we're starting in mountain pose, so we have a nice sturdy base, and we're going to grab a hold of one of the ankles with the same hand. and you can have the fingertip on the chair here, or you can reach the arm up towards the ceiling. Now to modify, if you can't quite get a hold of your foot here, you can turn and face away from the chair with one hand on the back and put your foot on the chair. So that's the modification. Now the arm up is optional. Try to keep your knees next to one another. Chest lifted. And point your sit bones down towards the floor. And as you do that action, it'll actually tilt the pelvis backwards a little bit. You'll get a really good stretch in your quadricep. Now lower the arm down, hold on to the chair as you release the foot. And then we're going to go to the other side. So remember, if you need to modify, if you can't quite reach your foot, you can place the foot on the chair. So standing in mountain pose to start, breastbone lifted, reaching the crown of the head down, chin points down towards the floor. We're going to grab a hold of our ankle, knees in line with one another, and you're going to point your sit bones down towards the floor. And if you can, you're going to reach the arm up. So don't worry, the chair is not going to walk away on you. And if your foot needs to touch down on the floor at any point, that's okay too. So we're challenging your balance, stretching your quadricep at the same time. And good, you're going to lower the arm and lower the leg. Okay, so we're going to go back to our chair and we're going to do our lower back strengthening or core strengthening. So what we're going to do today is a modified locust pose. Usually locust pose we do on the ground, but today we will do it on a chair. So you're going to want to bring your chair to the back of your mat here again and just have a seat. So you're about at the front of your chair here, so both of your feet are going to be flat on the floor. I'm just going to turn to the side a little bit so you get a better view. So again, you want to try to keep your spine as long as possible here. So you're lengthening from your hips to your armpits, and you want to avoid rounding in the upper back here. So you're going to exaggerate the lift of your chest, and we're going to lean forward, hinging from the hip creases. So your breastbone continues to lift here, and you're going to lower your arms to your sides, and we're going to inhale, reach the arms next to the ears. So if you find that you're rounding in your back, lift up a little bit until you can get that nice extension. Now the more you lean forward, the harder this is going to be. And your chin is slightly down here, just slightly. Your elbows are just right next to your ears, and your shoulders are down and away from the ears. Now we're going to come up, inhale, and then as we exhale, we're going to lower the arms down and lift one knee up towards the chest, holding under the knee. This is called wind relieving pose, which is another pose that we usually do on the ground, but today we're going to do it in the chair. And just remember which leg you have up because next time we're going to do the other leg. So a nice counter pose to that seated locust. So we're going to lower the foot down, inhale, and slowly come down as you exhale, hinging at the hip creases, nice flat back. Now on your next inhale, you're going to float those arms up. Reach the fingertips forward and up. Make sure you keep breathing and that you keep your heart lifted. Now we're going to sit nice and tall again. Reach the fingertips up, lower the hands down. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, wind relieving pose on the other leg. And foot down, And we're going to do a seated forward fold next. And we're going to extend one leg out here. So your toes are going to be reaching up towards the ceiling. And your knees slightly soft. You're going to take your thumbs here and slide them all the way up your leg where your leg meet your body. Elbows are going to be in and back, and you're going to press your chest forward as you fold over your thumbs here. Chin is down. So you almost want to imagine like you're holding something between your chin and your chest. Now you can relax your arms down. You can bring them to your bent knee. If you're quite flexible, you might be able to reach the floor, but again, don't force it. Avoid the temptation of rounding forward to get down further into the pose. And we're going to come up, both feet flat on the floor, and of course we're going to do the other leg. So you're going to slide your thumbs all the way up your leg here, elbows back, pressing your chest forward. You're going to hinge at the hips and either stay here. If you're quite flexible, you might bring your hands to the floor. Most of us are going to be here. And let's come all the way up and sit nice and tall. And we're going to finish off with a breathing exercise today, which is very similar to the long, deep breath that we did at the beginning, but we're going to add little pauses in between each step. So we're going to breathe into the abdomen. We're going to take a little second pause, then breathe into the rib cage, a little pause, and then breathe into the chest, a little pause, and then we're going to exhale all the way out. So let's just start by taking a few cycles of our full deep breath just before we get started. So we're going to take so make sure you sit nice and tall, chest is lifted. So we're going to take a deep breath into the abdomen, rib cage, chest, and then slowly breathe all the way out. Inhale, abdomen, rib cage, chest, and then slowly breathe out. Now let's add those little pauses. So we're going to inhale into the abdomen, hold the breath for a second, inhale into the rib cage, hold for a second, inhale into the chest, hold, and then slowly breathe out. And again, inhale, abdomen, rib cage, chest, and slowly all the way out. And again, inhale, abdomen, ribs, chest, and then slowly breathe all the way out. And one more. Inhale, abdomen, ribs, chest, and slowly breathe all the way out. And then return to natural breath. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me for today's workout. I hope that you feel a little bit more supple, and I hope that you will join us for next week's session of Fun Fit from Home.